Johnny Carson is often hailed as the king of late-night TV. He had a super remarkable ability to entertain millions with his pure humor, wit, and charm. But, as with many things in showbiz, not everything was sunshine and rainbows. For all of Johnny's comedic genius, there were some moments that made people cringe. In particular, his interactions with female guests sometimes went beyond the boundaries of good taste. He often pushed the envelope, crossing lines that would not be acceptable in today's society. In this video, we'll take a look at some of Johnny Carson's most controversial moments with female guests. Moments when he went too far. We'll explore why these moments were problematic and how they reflect the attitudes towards women in the entertainment industry during Johnny Carson's time. So buckle up, and let's delve into the controversial side of the king of late-night TV to understand his behavior towards ladies better. Johnny's license to be lewd. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Carson had a kind of license on late-night TV. He could get away with things that most other talk show hosts couldn't. His Midwestern charm helped smooth over situations that would have sunk other careers. Co-host Ed McMahon even said that Johnny knew how to tread the line, never quite crossing it, but always pushing the boundaries just enough. The fact that he held the role for nearly 30 years speaks to his ability to balance that act. But even for Carson, there were moments when that charm wasn't enough to fully justify his actions. Dolly Parton and Johnny's awkward obsession. One of the most talked about moments involving Johnny Carson and a female guest happened in 1977 when country music legend Dolly Parton appeared on The Tonight Show. Dolly, known for her incredible talent and iconic figure, was a rising star back then. However, instead of focusing on her music, Johnny couldn't resist making the moment about something else: her body. As the interview progressed, Johnny, in front of millions, said he'd pay a year's salary to see Dolly's bosom. Now Dolly, ever the professional, laughed it off, making a playful comment about taking a shower with Johnny. But if we think about it from today's perspective, it's pretty clear this kind of behavior wouldn't fly on TV now. Dolly later joked about the incident, showing no ill will towards Johnny. But it does make you wonder, how did Johnny's comments sit with viewers at home? Did it truly represent the lighthearted, charming banter he was known for? Or was it a reflection of the casual sexism that permeated media at the time? The fact that Dolly kept her cool speaks volumes about her professionalism. Lucille Ball. When old friends go a little too far. If you thought Dolly's moment was awkward, Lucille Ball's 1974 interview might top it. Lucy, the beloved star of I Love Lucy, was no stranger to Johnny Carson. The two had been friends for years. But this long-standing friendship didn't stop Johnny from pushing the limits during her appearance. In a bizarre twist, Johnny decided to ask Lucy a very personal question. How old were you when you lost your virginity? Yup, you heard that right. A question that would make any woman cringe and a question that should never be asked on national television. In front of a live studio audience and millions watching at home, Johnny crossed the line into uncomfortable territory. Lucille's shocked expression was genuine, but even the pro, she played along, understanding Johnny's humor, even if the question was wildly inappropriate. Johnny laughed it off, claiming he was only going for her reaction. Sure, it might have been funny to some, but that level of personal intrusion could easily have caused serious issues in today's more sensitive media landscape. Luckily, Lucy was quick-witted enough to dodge any fallout, but this was another instance where Johnny's charm wasn't enough to justify his actions. As friends, it's natural to have certain boundaries, and even the closest of friendships can have moments where one friend goes a little too far. But in these situations, it's important to remember that respect and consideration should always be at the forefront, even in the name of humor. Sophia Loren. Garter? Anyone? Let's move on to one of Johnny's more notorious moments, this time with Italian actress and international sex symbol, Sophia Loren. Sophia, known for her beauty and talent, appeared on The Tonight Show in 1979. Things seemed to be going well, until Johnny decided to give her a gift. Out of nowhere, Johnny pulled out a red garter and handed it to Sophia. He said it was because he'd heard that red was her lucky color. Sophia, ever graceful, accepted the gift and, in return, gave Johnny a red salt bag she carried for good luck. Though Sophia handled the situation with poise, it was hard to ignore the weirdness of gifting a female guest such an item on live television. Imagine how awkward it would be if this happened today. Again, Johnny's charm seemed to protect him from any major backlash, but it left audiences wondering if this was appropriate. Sophia's ability to laugh it off is impressive, but one can't help but think that Johnny misread the room on this one. As a reminder, when interacting with friends or colleagues, it's important to always be mindful of their comfort levels and boundaries. Sometimes what may seem like a harmless joke can leave someone feeling uncomfortable. Betty White, Johnny's go-to nudist companion. Now, we all know Betty White was a comedic genius and a beloved television figure. But did you know that Johnny Carson had a habit of involving her in sketches that required them to appear nude? Yes, you heard that right. Johnny and Betty frequently performed comedy sketches together, and for some reason, they often involved nudity. One of their most famous skits had them playing Adam and Eve, dressed in nothing but leaves. It was a cheeky gag, and both Betty and Johnny were in on the joke. Betty herself would joke that Johnny called her whenever he wanted to get naked. Now, while it might have been funny in the context of the sketches, it's still a bit odd that Johnny would lean on this particular brand of humor so often with Betty. Of course, she played along, but it's interesting to consider why this became such a recurring theme between them. Perhaps it was a product of the times, or maybe Johnny just found the gag too amusing to resist. Regardless, it's a reminder that even the closest of friends should always be respectful and mindful of each other's boundaries. After all, no one wants to be constantly put in uncomfortable or compromising situations for the sake of a joke. Madonna teaches Johnny a thing or two. Fast forward to 1987, and we have another memorable moment with pop icon Madonna. By this point, Johnny was nearing the end of his Tonight Show reign, but he hadn't lost his flair for creating memorable and occasionally awkward moments with his guests. Madonna made her first ever appearance on The Tonight Show, and she certainly made it one to remember. She showed up wearing exposed lingerie, and Johnny, trying to play it cool, was clearly taken aback. What followed was a hilarious moment where Johnny asked Madonna what she was wearing. Madonna explained that it was a bustier, but Johnny had no idea what that was. Madonna had to explain it to him, turning the moment into a mix of genuine confusion and hilarity. While this interaction wasn't as overtly uncomfortable as some of Johnny's other encounters, it still showcased how Johnny sometimes struggled to navigate more modern, progressive conversations with younger female stars. The infamous Zsa Zsa Gabor rumor. No discussion about Johnny Carson's controversial moments with female guests would be complete without addressing the most infamous rumor of all, the Zsa Zsa Gabor pussy incident. This legendary tale, which has been debated for decades, involves Zsa Zsa bringing her cat onto The Tonight Show and allegedly asking Johnny, "Would you like to pet my pussy?" According to the rumor, Johnny replied, "Sure, if you move the cat out of the way." It's one of those stories that has persisted despite no verifiable footage. To this day, many believe it happened, while others dismiss it as pure legend. Even Johnny himself denied any memory of the exchange during later interviews. But whether it's true or not, the fact that the story has endured for so long speaks to Johnny's reputation for walking the fine line between playful humor and inappropriate remark. The fine line of Johnny's legacy. Johnny Carson is undoubtedly a legend of comedy, but he wasn't without his faults. Many of his interactions with female guests, while humorous at the time, would raise serious red flags today. The line between humor and inappropriateness is much clearer now, but back then, Johnny operated in a world where his charm could often smooth over the rough edges. In the end, Johnny Carson remains an icon, but it's important to recognize that not all of his moments were perfect. His interactions with female guests sometimes ventured into uncomfortable territory, but many of his guests played along, likely recognizing his intent to entertain rather than offend. Today, however, these moments serve as a reminder of how far media and society have come in terms of respecting boundaries. So guys, now what do you think? Was Johnny Carson just a product of his time, or do some of these moments cross the line even for his era? Well, let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content. Until next time, keep laughing and never stop learning.